This is the Financially Simple Podcast, a show dedicated to destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner. And now, here's your host, pizza-loving, certified financial planner, Justin Goodbread.
Welcome to Financially Simple. This is a finance show for small business owners about money, how it works in our business and our personal lives, and how we can build wealth to be financially independent. I'm your host, Justin Goodbread, and today is episode number 16. Today's episode is titled, The Law of Sowing and Reaping. It's not a waste of money. So, every year, I work really hard as a way for therapy for me. I'm sure you have your own as a business owner, but I work really hard as a way of therapy to grow a vegetable garden. I love a summer vegetable garden. And every year I deal with the plights and everything that come with a vegetable garden. And if you've ever done it, you know something inevitably is going to go wrong. You know, you may have deer and raccoons that can get in my garden, my dogs, my children. Most of the time it's probably me more than anything. But anyways, we deal with these gardens. And I try to grow tomatoes and squash and cucumbers and watermelons and corn. And the list just increases every year. I love green beans. And okra. Fresh fried okra right out of the garden. Dude, you will hear the angels sing. Well, there's this law of sowing and reaping. And you've heard this before, I'm sure, but we reap what we sow, right? I mean, I'm not going to go out to the garden and plant a seed of okra and a piece of corn's going to pop up. I mean, it's just not going to happen. No. If I plant a watermelon, I expect watermelons. I don't expect turnips, you know? So this law of sowing and reaping has three phases to it. The first one is we are going to reap what we sow. That's what I was just talking about. If I plant some corn, I'm going to get corn. If I plant squash, I'm going to get squash. Here's the second law, though. We always reap later than we sow. So if I put a kernel of corn in the ground, I'm not going to come out tomorrow and there'll be a full corn stalk with 2 ears of corn on it for me to just bite into that delicious goodness. It's just not going to happen. No, I'm going to plant it in the springtime, maybe April, maybe May, and then some 45, 50, 60 days later, depending on the weather and the conditions, I will have, hopefully, some corn with ears on it that I could use for the family. So we reap what we sow and we reap later than we sow. But the cool thing is we always reap more than we sow. Go back to my corn analogy. If I put corn in the ground, I'm going to get corn. Yes, I'm going to get it later than I am. But for that one kernel of corn that I drop in the ground, it should theoretically have one corn stalk that comes off of it and 2 ears on that one stalk. And each ear of corn is going to have hundreds of kernels on it. So with one kernel, I'm able to get a 200x or 300 or 400x yield from that one kernel. If it's okra, for example, I can plant one seed of okra and get 60, 70, 80 pods off of one plant a year, depending on the heat, depending on how I work with that okra. So those are the laws of reaping. Now, how does that apply to what we're dealing with? Remember, we're in a series here about starting a business, building it, and selling it. How do we get a business? I like to call it 10 and out. We're going 10 years and we're selling our business. What in the world, Justin, does sowing and reaping have to do with business? If you heard the title of the episode, I said it's the laws of sowing and reaping, and then I paused and I said it's not a waste of money. See, just about every day now, I'm approached by very talented individuals, young or even sometimes second career entrepreneurs who have some of the most creative ideas. I mean, talented, the heartbeat of America. These people approach me and bounce their ideas off of me and ask me to consult with them. The entrepreneurs range from self-employed doctors. I love working with self-employed doctors, dentists, veterinarians, chiropractors, optometrists. I just love working with these type of businesses. They're just fun to me. I love the business model. So I have those type of individuals. I also have manufacturing companies that call me and say, hey, can you consult with me? I have many companies who are in the service industry, from hair salons to pool builders to construction individuals to realtors. There's a lot of different people who have different styles and different models of business. And one thing that everybody has in common, myself included, and you're going to agree with this, is we all have a vision. We have mastered particularly our art. Maybe if we went to school like those entrepreneurs, doctors, some of the dentists coming out of dental schools. I mean, these guys and gals, they are super, super sharp. They are so well trained today. It's just amazing. They've mastered their art. I think of a pool builder. I mean, this guy builds unbelievable swimming pools that just should be on cover of magazines, and some of them have been. I mean, this guy built a swimming pool that was on the cover of Southern Living, has been on TV shows, just talent upon measure. So the problem is not that we know our product or our service. In contrast, though, I also have dozens of businesses, not just starting up, not the product or service to say, hey, I'm going to go sell this, but I have dozens of businesses that I personally consult with. I coach these businesses on how to make their businesses more profitable. I analyze it from a financial perspective, almost like a private CFO or private finance coach for business owners. And many times I'm able to look real quick and see if the business is going to succeed or fail based on today's topic. I had one client not too long ago that we dealt with today's topic in detail. And what is today's topic? Today's topic, we're going to hear about marketing. So let me kind of lay the stage here for us. I had one client who looked at this item called marketing. And I helped this guy start a business, and we had everything laid out. And part of starting a business in the startup phase was developing a good marketing plan. We did that. We had a marketing plan, and guess what? It worked, and it worked well. The client soon became too busy to keep up, so we had to work on systems. And the client demanded that we stop all marketing. And I advised against this. I mean, we don't stop marketing. We got to continue marketing. But in this case, he planted the corn and it popped up like quick. Okay. I'm like, man, it's just, we can't stop. I know it's a little overwhelming right now, but then he made a statement to me. He said, why do I need to market? Market is just a waste of money. It is too expensive. Well, against my advice, against my wishes, and against all of my knowledge and many other consultants who we're working with, he opted to discontinue marketing. So let's fast forward. It took a little bit of time, but before you know it, we were able to look at this company, and the company has slowed way down in terms of sales, in terms of new sales within the organization. So the proprietor was trying to beat his head against the wall, saying, you know, what in the world happened? We started out so good. We're 2-3 years into this thing now. We've been watching since day one this company just fall off. The revenue is not increasing. And every time we would meet, I would say, we got to increase our marketing. And he said, marketing doesn't work. Look how much success I had without marketing. We did it the first little bit, and then it just grew. Well, eventually the company slowed to the point to where it was painful. And I employed the proprietor to restart his marketing campaign. And he did. However, the marketing campaign took longer than the first time to revamp. He had lost what's called market penetration, and now he'd reached market saturation. And the marketing plan took a little longer this time. So because of the lack of marketing, and under the opinion that the marketing was too expensive, this company ended up having 2 of the worst years in this long-term company's history now in a booming economy. I mean, the economy wasn't 08, 09. We're not talking about a depressed economy. We're talking about a vibrant economy where his competition was just blowing doors out the water. He was not. So today, the marketing plan for this owner, whenever we meet, on every meeting, he instantly wants to talk about marketing first. Why? Because marketing works. It does work. See, this owner's problem was he had inconsistency. In marketing, we must remain consistent. Perhaps most of us can handle the revenue coming in from our business. Perhaps some of us say, hey, look, we don't have enough. So let's deal today with marketing. Let's deal with it on a financially simple level as always, but let's deal with the what, why, who, when, where. We're going to deal with a little bit of the how throughout the entire podcast today. Now, keep in mind, we're using this topic as a means for growing our business to sell it. And we're going to wrap all this together. So maybe you're that person who says, look, man, I've already got a good marketing campaign and we're growing. I want to know how to sell. This has nothing to do with sell. Au contraire, my friend. This has everything to do with the sale of your business. And we're going to talk about that. Maybe you say, man, I have too much business. Great. We're not going to quit marketing. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Maybe you say, you know, I've got some visions about how to grow a business. I don't understand this marketing thing. So today is not going to be like level 401 college level marketing. We'll deal with that in a later podcast. Today's just going to be an introduction to it. And I want to deal with some of the things as it relates to marketing and how to build your business to sell it. So that leads to the question at first, what is marketing? I mean, we hear this word around, right? As simple as I can come up with a definition, and this is mine. I'm sure there's another one out there. I try to be as original in my thoughts as possible for you. So simply put, marketing is trying to explain, instruct, or show who you want your potential buyers to think you are. Okay, you're like, wait a second, let me say that again. Marketing is trying to show or explain or instruct your potential buyers to think who you are. You're basically trying to show them who you want to be, not who you are today. That's another way of saying that, okay? You want your buyers to think about what your product will be, maybe not necessarily what it is, okay? The Wizard of Oz comes to mind, and we've often seen the wizard, right? The Yellow Brick Road, Dorothy, there's no place like home. All these little slogans that we've heard. The wizard in The Wizard of Oz was a master at marketing because he gave this illusion as to what people thought he was. Now, there's some dangers with what I'm talking about. Obviously, we don't want to paint ourselves as a Fortune 500 company and we're operating out of the back of a pickup truck. I mean, that's not going to work. But the wizard, nonetheless, because of who people thought he was, ultimately, he was able to solve the journey problems that the lion and the scarecrow and everybody else were having, right? So let's deal with marketing in the avenue of today. So marketing is often divided up into three different areas. It comes in the form of branding, advertising, and public relations. Branding is typically comprised of a logo or visual imagery, right? I have seen people who say their brand is to wear a consistent hat, if you will. I've seen people who their brand is to just be as potty mouth, my grandma would say, as possible and just use vulgarities consistently. That's their brand. How about the old jingle, O-R-E-O, Nabisco? You know, I hate to sing, forgive me. But that's Oreos. That was their marketing brand, right? Or how about Target? I was just riding on the road. I saw Target. You see the bullseye on the side of the building. That's Target's brand. So branding is nothing more than a comprise of a visuals, a logo or imagery that can be used to relate your particular company or product in the minds of the individual. Advertising is slightly different. Advertising is the media which takes that visual image or that message to the potential buyer. So today, social media is all the buzz, right? I mean, we've got Facebook, we got Instagram, we have Vimeo, YouTube. I mean, there's so much media outlet through social media that can put our brand in front of people. But we also have radio. We have magazines, we have newspapers, we have direct mail. We have a number of different things for advertising purposes. And then the last one is public relations. Public relations is simply getting various sources to run your particular story, whatever your story is, whether it's a product or a service, in a favorable light. That's all really public relations is. It's trying to take who you are and share it out. Perhaps a local TV station calls you in for an interview on whatever your service is. That's a public relations thing. Maybe you're helping out at a particular charitable event. I have a friend of mine who's in the finance world, and he does a dance-off every year for a charity, and he gets all sorts of publicity for this particular event. That's a public relations scenario. But why? Why do we market? So if we know that marketing is nothing more than taking and presenting ourselves as if we want to be seen, or presenting ourselves to the potential buyer in a way that we want them to appear us through branding, advertising, and public relations, why do we do it? And most of all, why is it important in the exit of a business? Simply put, we market to generate sales. Anybody who says they don't is full of it. You're like, wait a second, Justin, but I'm a nonprofit. We're not out selling, or I don't have a product or service. But if you're marketing, you're generating sales of yourself, if nothing else. Gary Vee, for example, he's one of the guys I like to listen to. He's one of those potty mouth guys. He doesn't give a flying flip what you have to think. He's going to say it, and many times he drops some pretty big words that I don't want my children to hear. But he's a guy out there, and nothing else, he's marketing himself, right? So simply put, marketing is generating sales, either monetary or through goodwill. And without marketing, we seldom reach the earning potential of our brand. Our job is to drive revenue if we're in business. Apple spent $1 billion, according to the interweb, in marketing last year. So I ask you this question. If marketing is not worth it, why would one of the richest companies in the world spend money on marketing? Think about that. Everyone in the civilized world probably has heard or seen the Apple brand. I mean, if marketing didn't work and it was a waste of money, then why would Apple, who has more money in their bank account than many countries around the world, why would Apple spend $1 billion? Why? They're shaping the message and the direction of the company. They're shaping the sales not the iPhone. Obviously, they do that, but they're shaping the sales of the brand. Even if you're planning to sell your company tomorrow or next year, you're going to continue to need to market. See, the way I can describe it to myself in my financially simple mind is marketing flows like an ocean wave. What happened with my client is that he was expecting if he went out and put in money, so to speak, he went out and said, okay, I'm going to spend some money today. I'm going to expect to see immediate tidal wave effect. And that's just not happening. Marketing is not a tidal wave. It's not going to just come in where I go out and drop some dollars and it flows in all at one time. No, in fact, that could be disastrous if that happened. That's the least thing that most business owners want. Instead, we have a constant outflow of marketing dollars and resources. And what it does is it brings in that gentle wave on our seashore over and over. We'll receive a wave of new business or new clients or new followers or whatever your market is. And then we won't for a little bit, and that's okay. And then we'll receive some more. So marketing is more like an ocean wave than a tidal wave, if you will. So it does help us in this aspect.
You are listening to Financially Simple, destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner.
So that leads to the question of who should market. If you're like me, you're a small business owner, man, I don't have time. I'm having to run nonstop. I'm doing this and that. I don't have time to market. That's the furthest thing from the truth, friends. Marketing is performed by every person in the organization. It's performed by the person answering the phones to the CEO. It's performed by the person cleaning the pools all the way up to the executive of the pool cleaning business. It is performed by the person greeting the patients at the front door to the doctor himself. Every person in the organization performs marketing. Now, sure, you may have a marketing department or you may have a marketing team, but what good is the sale without the reinforcement of the quality or the brand? So marketing is a full-bore assault for all the members of the organization. And that's one thing that I see so many small businesses forget. They're like, hey, I'm going to hire somebody over here. They're going to do all my marketing for me. No, they're not. Most small business will hire freelance. That's true. Or they'll hire a marketing agency. But unless you integrate that plan into every facet of your business, then you're wasting marketing dollars. And that could be the reason why your marketing dollars are inefficient. So that leads me to the question of, well, when should we market? Well, by default, if everybody is the marketer, then we're by default marketing all the time. However, we should formally start marketing our company day one. And we don't stop until we have a signed sales contract and money in our pocket. We don't stop. So we should be marketing from the first time to the last. When times are good, we should market. When times are bad, we should market twice as much. Because we want to continue to shape the message. We want to shape the message of our business, and we want to shape the persona, the person of our company and organization. So if we know when, then where should we market? Oh, wow. This is perhaps the hardest question of all. The why should we market's easy. The what should we market, that's easy. The who, the when, those are all easy. The where is the hard part. It's cliche for me to answer that question. Where should we market? I could easily say, well, it depends. Because in Canada, that's true. What works for one business is not going to work for another. Even within the same SIC code, even within the same industry. So let's go back to my dentist, right? If I have a dentist that I'm working with in Arkansas, chances are the marketing plan for that Arkansas dentist is different than one in Maryland. It just is. You have two different types of demographics. A business who is building houses in South Florida is going to have a different demographic than one that's building business in California. It's just going to be two different businesses. So the where should we market is the trickiest. So this is why I recommend that immediately in the day one that a business owner works with a marketing professional. A marketing professional that can build us a marketing plan, or as I call it, a marketing calendar, specifically made for that particular business. A marketing professional will do the research and will tell you with the dollars that you've allocated to that particular issue, how to allocate those dollars. They'll have tons of questions. and they're going to ask you specific questions around the goals for your product or service. They're going to ask you who your target market is. And then the marketing company should be able to put together that calendar for you that shows you here's what we're going to do every week, month, day, year, whatever comes about. Okay? The caution I have for you is don't quit. Marketing's not a magic pill. Just because you spend $1,000 in January doesn't mean you're going to make $5,000 in February. No. Marketing is that continual row of business. I've read some recent studies that some industries could take upwards of 18 months before they yield any results on marketing. That's a long incubation time. That's like planting a seed in the ground and leaving it alone for 18 months, knowing that 18 months from now, then you will see produce. That may drive a lot of farmers crazy. But in business, your particular business is going to dictate what plan you have. Long story short, though, is marketing is necessary. So then that leads me to the question of, well, how much money should I devote to marketing? Should I be like Apple and put $1 billion? Friends, if you have $1 billion in a bank account and you're producing business, man, more power to you. Most of us is not the case. Most of us, when we start our business off, or we're in a micro or small business and we're under $5 million in sales, marketing dollars does oftentimes feel like a waste of money. I got to tell you, I've had those thoughts. So how much? Well, traditionally, I tell business owners in certain industries that they need to be between 5 or 10% of their annual revenue in marketing. And that's just to maintain their current income. So now if they want to grow, then they'll allocate 20 or 30% of their revenue to marketing. I knew there were some companies that I was looking at last year, some publicly traded companies that were devoting as much as 50% of their top line revenue to marketing, to getting the numbers out in front of the populace so they could grow the company later on. So you're really dealing with an investment here, not an expense. Even though it's going to go on the P&L as an expense, you're actually dealing with an investment. Because remember, we're going to reap some point what we sow. So if we market, we're going to sow good things, and we're going to reap good things if we sow good things, and we're going to reap later, but that's not all the law. We're also going to reap more than we sow. So theoretically, we're spending $50,000, $60,000 tactically, and we're not wasting it. I mean, I know there's a difference, okay? Anybody can piss money away in the wind. I'm not worried about that. If we're allocating the dollars properly, then we should reap more than we sow at some point. So to me, I look at 5 to 10% of the revenue of a company as at minimum to be spent just to maintain the growth or the trajectory or the current revenue source. If you're trying to grow it more, talk with your marketing division. Talk with your business coach about how much more money you should spend in marketing to get to where you want to go. But we can't stop there. We can't just throw money at a problem. So now let's deal with this particular issue of why in the world am I bringing marketing up in the exit of a business? Well, if we're spending money on marketing, there's one important facet that we have to do in addition to this when it comes to the exit of a business. And in fact, every company should technically be doing this, and that is simply to track your marketing. Not only should you market, but we need to keep detailed records of our marketing plan and the results of our marketing plan. So obviously we can keep the marketing calendar that the marketing company or the marketing team within your organization can design. We can keep that and show here's exactly what we did. And we can even keep some of the results on if you're tracking website hits or if you're tracking sales, number of units sold, and you can keep some of those with your KPIs. But the P&L will track the expense of the marketing. And when you compare the P&L, remember I told you in my podcast about P&Ls and KPIs, one of my favorite things to do is I can take a P&L, profit and loss statement, and I can dissect that and do comparisons and show over any date range what a dollar figure increase of marketing yields. Perhaps you're in an organization which can directly track it. Maybe you're in a business. I have an auto maintenance company that I work with, and this company's in Texas, and they have a huge garage. It has like 14 bays in it. I mean, it's maybe more than that. It might be 20 bays. It's a big organization. I mean, they're producing multi-million-dollar a year in revenue. And they're able to track within their own internal systems this information. Just because you can't do that doesn't mean the information is not there. So if you're a small business, you're like, man, Justin, I don't have KPIs. I don't have these systems which track all this. Brother, we can figure it out with a profit and loss statement. It's not hard. The most important thing to think about now is when we're getting ready to sell the business, I want you now to take yourself out of the ownership role and temporarily place yourself as if you're the buyer of someone looking at your business. Think about this. If you're the buyer of your business and you're going to buy your own business from you, how much more informed would you be about this company which you're currently running if you can review the past 3 to 5 year marketing campaign and the results of these campaigns? This type of data would add validity to the pro forma that you're looking at. The pro forma is the projection of the company going forward, right? So if you could see where the company had been, you could easily see where it's headed, and then your team or your consulting team could make adjustments or recommendations on how to steer this company to where you need it to grow after you make the purchase. In fact, I've been a part of sales to when the marketing plan was so well defined that the buyer actually increased in the bidding process the actual purchase price. I've also been part of companies that didn't have a marketing plan and the buyers decreased the purchasing price. So look at it from the buyer's perspective. The buyer is wanting to look at where you've been and where you're headed, what worked, what didn't work, and what were the results. So marketing matters. And once we start it, you can't stop. It is not a waste of money. So guys, that's it for episode number 16. Today's been fun. Marketing is challenging. It's challenging for us because we often think it's a waste of money, and it's not. All right. As I always say, life is fun, life is hard, business is fun, marketing is depressing sometimes. I gotta grant that. Life and business doesn't have to be. Let's continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Hey, y'all go out and make it a great day.
You have been listening to the Financially Simple podcast. The information in this show is for informational purposes only. This show is not investment advice. Instead, seek help from a competent financial advisor. Justin Goodbread, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Heritage Investors, a registered investment advisor.